witnessed the finest part of my life, with the exception of my 2 sons, whom she also gave me. She is our teacher. I gotta get it together after that. She raised her 3 boys, Isaac, Gideon, and Mandy, around our dinner table. She taught us everything we know. One of the things she said early on was that hurt people hurt people. It's become an anthem in our family, and we try to share it with people wherever we go. To have Rahmanas for ourselves and for everyone else. To understand that most of humanity operates from a level of anxiety and fear and terror. We are very alike in those ways. And the key to the ball game is to live with it, not run away from it, not think that you can outrun it, because you cannot outrun anything you're afraid of. It will live with you, in you forever. Make friends with it. Put it on your shoulder, in the front row of your audience, next to the camera. Live with it. They live with it in Israel, all the Israelis. All the Palestinian people live with it. People all over the world live with it. It lets you know you're alive. It's nothing to be afraid of. Fear. I want to share with you for a moment words of Oscar Hammerstein and Stephen Sondheim. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made, and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be carefully taught to hate all the people your relatives hate. Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. How do you say to your child in the night, nothing's all black, but then nothing's all white? How do you say it will all be all right when you know that it mightn't be true? What do you do? Careful the wish, where my preacher, careful the things you say. I forgot the rest of them. No. Wishes our children, careful the path they take. Wishes come true, not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen.
Yeah.
My son, Isaac, who's sitting with us tonight, I'm so happy. He said to me as we were having dinner with the head of Jewish Voices for Peace the other night, and another scholarly friend and teacher of mine, other than Mark, is Sarah Ann Minkin, an extraordinary human being, brilliant mind. And I got a call from some of the writers from Homeland a few months ago, a couple months ago, said, read the book The Promised Land by Ari Shadid. So I read it, and I was deeply disturbed. I thought it was brilliantly written. I thought it told a story of all these different people and their families and their history. I thought it was written by a man who loved Israel, as I loved Israel. I thought it was a man who was torn and who cared deeply about Israel as I'd torn and cared deeply about Israel. I thought it was a man who articulated the situation in an amazing way. And it derailed my narrative. And by that I mean, when I was asked, when I've been asked, as I am asked to get up and speak on occasion, or talk in interviews, I would always talk about my hope and my optimism for the situation. Never give it up. Be there, be strong for those who don't have the strength to sit at the table, for those who've lost a loved one. Literally, the blood has spilled from their loved ones' lives. It's touched so many. Maybe it's even touched you, but if it hasn't touched you directly and you have the strength, it's your job until you take your last breath to sit at that table until a peace is active. I finished that book and I just felt, I don't know if I can say that anymore. It just sounds so actory, so nothing, so unscholarly, so ignoring of all that has happened, that this man has so brilliantly articulated the history. All the tragedy, all the lives lost on both sides, all the land lost that will never be recovered, the possibility of so many people never finding their ability to have the right to return. And I've heard many discussions where people say, well, that just has to be tabled. And Sarah Ann Minkin says it does not have to be tabled. There's a way to figure out the right to return as well as everything else. And I love it when she says that. And I said to her before the dinner, I said, I don't know, there was a point, and then I said to Mark, I started calling Mark because I was so disturbed about this. Called Howard Gordon to talk to Howard, who's here tonight, thank goodness, and we had a long talk, and you know, we could talk forever about it. I just had to talk to people after I read this book. I needed to get a hold of my brains again, my hope, my optimism. And so I called Mark, and Mark met with me, and then he gave me a 500-page book called Arabs and Israelis, written by a premier Egyptian scholar, a premier Palestinian scholar, and a premier Israeli scholar. From the beginning of time, I read every page of it. It's exhausting. It's maddening. It's almost like reading insanity. One event after another fails. Both sides lose hope and lose optimism. It's heartbreaking. And Isaac says to me at the dinner, Dad, you don't need to talk to all these scholars. You don't need to do that as much as you think you do. You know in you. You know it. Just talk your heart. Be yourself. And I said to Isaac, as I say to myself, this is how I learn. I need to be with Mark. Be with Rabbi Leonard, who just, oh my God. David, Mom, be with you. Be with my dear friends from Homeland. my gifted writers, my gifted imaginarians. I need it because there's a prayer I say in my life many times every day. It's maybe from the Bible, the Torah, I don't know and I don't care. But it's for me a metaphor of everything. The word Jerusalem is everyone I care about, everything I care about. My son Isaac and Gideon, my wife Catherine, Jerusalem itself, all of the Israeli people on the far right, on the far left, and everyone in between, and all of the Palestinian people, and all the people from Hamas, and all the Iranian people, and all the people in the Arab world who care about Jerusalem and everything they wish for. And the prayer I love is, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, may my right hand lose its cunning. May my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you. If I do not put Jerusalem above my highest joy. Remember, O Lord, against the sons of Edom, the day of Jerusalem's fall. Those who say, tear it down to its foundation. I consider my most important purpose in this world till I die, to find the strength that my mother gave me. My mother who passed away on Tuesday, who we buried this Friday morning. My mother who was so strong and put up with pain beyond description. My mother who had everything wrong with her and was an Olympian at complaining, but an Olympian at being strong, and an Olympian at never quitting. And she gave me my strength. And she would wish, and will continue to wish, and hover over all of us, as there are so many of our mothers and loved ones, and so many who've lost their lives in so many places, that will be over us and with us and take care of us through the end of time, and bring us through this peace process. And now I just want to say a little something that I'll probably, I don't care what happens. But I'm going to say it. In my learning from my teacher, Mark, there's so many things I could talk about, but I'll just try to wrap it up a little. Is that for me? One thing surfaced to the top through this, all of this, since reading The Promised Land in these past 3 months of just bombarding myself with information and experience, and then just pick up the paper every day, read every article. Breaks your heart, and it's also hopeful. It's hopeful because it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new beginning. Once again. I'm going to take you back for a moment to a Soviet Jewry rally at 1 Dag Hammarskjöld Square in New York City. I had just finished filming Yentl. It was 1982. My son Isaac was born in Prague, Czechoslovakia. He was circumcised in Prague, put a Jew back where so many were lost. It was powerful. Many things happened there. We came back to New York. We weren't back but a few minutes, and I was asked to sing the Israeli national anthem at this rally with millions of people in the square. And I brought my son, 6 months old. I carried him just in my left arm. I love that feeling. It would suck on my bicep. I have a big pinky there. And I held him and I sat down, and there was a guy sitting next to me, and I didn't know who he was. But he just didn't feel good to me. And Mario Cuomo was on my right, and the guy just had a bad vibe to me. And I took Isaac and I moved him to my right. I love the images of the children in the Peace Now video. The children in the air, the children. I took my child and put him on my right. And my dad had passed away, and Catherine had lost her parents right before we met each other. They died right at the same time, and I wish Mario Cuomo, I wanted to take him home and make him my grandfather, make him Isaac's grandfather. And Ed Koch was sitting behind me. I didn't know what he was. And I'll get back to this story in a minute. remind me of it, okay? Put your finger on it for a minute. So, what I have the courage to say now is that I'm exhausted from the failure of every attempted peace process, particularly from what Benjamin Netanyahu has done in the recent future, and not so recent, for quite some time. Continuing the settlement building, unwilling to freeze it, and a profound, unhelpful, arrogant attitude. The kind of classic attitude that, we use as a joke to say it's like, the worst part, just not good. And he has the possibility to change his behavior. One. There's a possibility that with this new Palestinian alliance, as Mark just informed us, maybe things will change. Maybe they will embrace these past negotiations. Maybe attitudes will change. You do not say it's over and ended and you walk away from the peace table. Ever. Particularly if you're the Prime Minister or President of any country. That is not your right. You do not blame. You find and seek answers. You use your creativity to its utmost possibilities. And if he can't meet the mark, and if the leaders of the Palestinian New Alliance, and as they form it, cannot meet the mark, as Mark taught me, how many times new elections are called for, how rare the 4-year span of an elected Prime Minister gets its whole 4 years. How they're constantly calling re-election. I say call a re-election if either side doesn't get the job done in a reasonable amount of time this time. And embrace people like Yariv from Peace Now, or Hagit Ofran, or Fadi Karam, a young Palestinian, incredible human being. Bring him to the front of the line for the Palestinians. And the list of people can go on and on. Sarah Minkin, of who could be powerful, wonderful leaders. But one thing I learned, there have been those leaders. They're called Yitzhak Rabin, and they're called Sadat. And on occasion they were called Arafat. They went outside the box. They went outside the line. They took a chance. They risked their lives. They lost their lives. But they moved the process forward. It's about the children. We are all parents. We are all parents of all children all over the world, all humanity. I don't differentiate between Israeli or Palestinian. I care about all humanity. The man who was on my left that I moved my child away from stood up and made a speech. They said his name, I never heard of it. He was the ambassador from Israel to the United Nations. His name was Benjamin Netanyahu. When I later found out who this man was and what my natural instinct was to protect my child, I was in shock over the years as this onion unpeeled itself. I give him another opportunity because, like my mom, I won't quit on him. So he shouldn't quit on all the Israeli people and all the Palestinian people. Be a better parent for all humanity. Now is the time, not later. And I just want to borrow one thing to share with you. I have this idea, and I just asked Catherine if she had a minute because I was traveling to run out and get these for me. And I have an award to give to Peace Now. Not to get, but to give. To give to them to deliver for me, because that's all I am. I'm just a mailman. I'm the mailman for Steve Sondheim, for Howard Gordon, Chip Johannesson, Meredith Steen, Henry Brummel, Alex Gonza, Alexander Carey, our brilliant writers at Homeland, occasionally Shakespeare. And Steve, Rabbi, you spoke earlier about Sunday in the Park with George. The first thing George Sagat said in that play was white, a blank page or canvas, his favorite. No, first he said white, a blank page or canvas. Wait a minute, wait. Wait, no, I forgot it. Wait a minute. Design, how did it go? Order, balance, light, design, white. A blank page or canvas. Order, balance, light, design, harmony. And the last thing that George Seurat says in the play, which are my favorite words, he says white. A blank page or canvas. His favorite. So many possibilities.
Yeah.
This one I would like delivered to the Israeli government. This one I would like delivered to the new Palestinian government, however they work it out. This one I would like delivered to the United States. And this one, Howard Gordon, will you take for the people from Homeland, for the writers? Because our job and what we do, we're not reality TV. We are, if we do our job right, we're the poets of humanity. And we try to do it in an entertaining, thrill ride on the edge of your seat story, if we're lucky. But our job is to take real life and poeticize it, so that you learn from Carrie Matheson and Brody that enemies can literally be lovers. And even through loss. And it is my hope and prayer, and unfortunately we may have more opportunity than I wish, that whether it's this season or another season, because I hope we're around for a long time in Homeland, and the idea of Homeland is that we attend, hopefully, to the world's needs. And it's my hope and prayer that at some point, our show, our little show Homeland, if they don't get it right soon, let's make one of our shows, one of our seasons, about the Israeli situation and the Palestinian situation. And let's give them your gifted poetic wish for humanity there and all over the world. And if it isn't right for Homeland, we have some of the greatest writers in the world in our show. Make up another show. I want to just leave you with all singing a song with me. And I just want to make sure I get the translation absolutely right. It is Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Peace will come upon us and everyone. Peace will come upon us and everyone. And then the last time we say it in Arabic, Salam, Salam, Salam. Join me. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom